What's up guys, the Wartek here with another Marvel Strike Force video, and today we are going to talk about the Blob and why he is such a OP character, very underrated, and we might see a lot of the Blob coming in the future, but today we're going to focus on war defense and how we can improve the Marauders for them to become a nightmarish team. But before that, I want to say thanks to everyone who liked my previous video about the vision node on Ultima 7. Unfortunately, because of lack of consistency, I decided to delete that video, and I'll make a new one in the future when I find something that has a little bit more consistency, because on that video we see Phoenix dying right away from Daredevil, and since then I have been running it a few more times, doing different attempts, and Phoenix never dies now, so I don't know what's up. But I decided that it's just better because I don't want to mislead anyone into bad results and frustration. Okay, so now let's talk about this thick boy, the Blob, and see why he's so underrated and why he's so good. Okay, so taking a look at the Blob's page on msf.gg, we can see his basic. His basic is just amazing. He does a nice amount of damage and he applies slow on his basic. If the target has disrupt, he also turn rewinds. This part is not very important, and the fact that his counter also applies slow and turn rewind, that's nice. The thing is that you cannot give a character a negative turn meter, so the part of changing the speed bar, it doesn't do anything, but still the part applying slow on counter, that's just amazing. Now he does damage with his ultimate and with his special, but with his special he copies all positive buffs from an ally Brotherhood to himself. That's just amazing, because we'll have Mystique, and Mystique usually she has a lot of buffs, so any type of dodges, deflects, offense up, defense up, counters, anything that Mystique has will go to this guy, and it's just an amazing combo of two characters. Now, the thing that makes Blob amazing is his passive, and that's why he's so underrated, and many people are not using him. And this is like a Green Goblin with the Carnage and the Symbiotes. People are sleeping on their passives, but with the right combination, these characters are just amazing together. So, his passive goes like this. On spawn, he gets offense up for 2 turns. Okay, that's nice. Then, when a Brotherhood ally drops below 50%, he gains stunned. Now, this will never happen on the situations we are going to take into consideration, because the only Brotherhood ally is Mystique. So, and it's good that he doesn't taunt, because we don't really need him to taunt. Okay, now it's the important part. On enemy turn, once again, on enemy turn, he applies deflect to a maximum of 3 to adjacent allies. On enemy turn, applies 1 deflect up to a maximum of 3 to adjacent allies. That's just amazing, and I can't understand why so many people have been sleeping on this ability. It's so overpowered. You can use it in so many places. It's just crazy. In this case, we are going to take a look at him on war defense and bleeds, and then gains 25% counter and gains another 25% counter for Brotherhood allies. So I put the T4 on this one, so he has 50% chance of countering and applying slow to the enemy. And this is not like Call Obsidian or Colossus or something like that. Those characters, they have a specific ability, like does a retaliation. No, this is actually the basic, and this is why it's so good, because he applies slow to the characters when he counters. So if you put him next to a tank like a Strife, and there is any kind of splash damage, there goes the Blob to apply slow to the enemies, and it's a effective slow. It starts to have effect on the next turn of the enemy. Now, taking a look at Blob's stats, and this is a very interesting character because most of his stats come out of his base stats and not from his gear. Some characters, they get a lot of stats from the gear. Not the case of the Blob. His base stats are just amazing. So at 7 yellow stars, 7 red stars, level 75, gear tier 14, he will have 300,000 health, 20,000 damage, 15,000 armor, and 12,000 resistance. And that's just a very beefy boy, and Compared to Thanos, they have similar amount of health. Blob has a nice amount of damage, nice amount of armor. So if he takes some damage, he will still be able to handle it. And the fact that he is applying constantly these deflects to other characters around him gives so much survivability, especially if you have summoners like Mr. Sinister or Ultron, because any character that is around the Blob, so that's going to be up to 5, they will be getting deflects constantly, and that gives so much survivability to your team, is insane. And because of all those great qualities about the Blob, I put him next to Strife and next to Mr. Sinister. So if someone tries to kill either of them, they will be always with deflect up, and Mr. Sinister will be able to spread those deflects to everyone else. And like this, Mystique will be apart, and that will allow her to keep her dodges, and then Mr. Sinister be able to spread the dodges with everyone else. At this point in time, I'm still using Shuri on this team, but as soon as Emma Frost is released, she's going to this team, obviously. And even that, I don't think Emma Frost is as good as some other people think she is. I still think that she will benefit this team more than Shuri does at this point in time. Now, you might be wondering, what about the Brotherhood? The Brotherhood is still fine with Toad, and Sabretooth is actually better because it has so much damage that they will dismantle any enemies they face, including the usual counters Shield and Coulson. And I want to show you some results of the last war I had. We have this Black Order trying to punch up on my villain mutants, but unfortunately it's not the case. But this is the kind of reputation that the Marauders or the villain mutants have, is that they are a very trashy team that anyone can beat them. But with our boy the Blob, that's not the case. The team will be way stronger just because he's there. And that's a good thing, because many people don't take the Marauders seriously, and then they lose. And someone sent me a result of using a similar team, but instead of Shuri they had Magneto, and they had 27 wins on that war alone. Now, I don't think you need to break the Brotherhood to make this villain mutants team good. For now, we can use Shuri, and that's fine. Then we'll use Emma Frost. And the only times that this team loses is with massive punchdowns from very, very good teams. For example, this X-Men team is a 10% punch down. And the last time I lost, it was Aimtron on 2 attempts with 450,000 power Aimtron punching down on my Marauders that were not even 400k at that point in time. Okay, so we are going to take a look at a few clips of this team on Blitz on 8.3, because unfortunately it's a war defense team, so we don't have clips of that. And then we are going to take a look at the Brotherhood without a Blob and if it still works. Okay, so we are on 8.3 on Blitz. We are using the team just like I presented to you, and we are going to see a few matches. So let's get started. Now, this team can win on 8.3 on auto. The normal Marauders cannot. So that's a huge difference. But here, for the most time, I usually play it manually because that's still fun. And playing on auto sometimes is more boring than playing it. So defense up, then a taunt from Strife, then we have the Mystique with her ultimate. And you can see how much damage now Strife is taking, and he's handling it because of all those deflects and all the shield that he gets now. It's so much better now. He's still not perfect, but at least he's way better thanks to the Blob. Now he has a good stack of deflects, and he keeps stacking up on that shield, and you can see like he's taking massive damage in the face, and as soon as you do the ultimate with him, he just completely shuts down the team. Oh, this is actually on auto, so yeah. And now the Blob takes away all the buffs from Mystique for himself. Plenty of regens, plenty of offense up, death proof, and so on. And yeah, I just wish Strife special would make a little bit more sense, so he wouldn't waste the energy away, so Mr. Sinister could make clones faster. And now you can see we have a clone Thor, and he's also full of deflects thanks to the Blob. So everyone around the Blob is just beefier just because he's there. Now we have Cable. Cable will start to get deflects as well as soon as the enemy have turns. Look how many buffs we have. This team is just OP, and you can imagine this in war. Okay, we are taking a look at another clip. We have a Wolverine, Drax, Hulk, Juggernaut, and someone else. So pretty beefy characters. Some of them can do massive amount of burst damage. And now we are facing Luke Cage. We don't have anyone interesting to clone. Once again, we are playing on auto. Now Drax gets next to the Blob, so he's also going to get all those deflects. Even that we are facing very beefy characters, we have Mystique. She'll be able to flip some of those abilities. Strife with his ultimate ability block the Hulk. That's fine, it delays his ultimate. And now Shuri. Shuri, unfortunately, she's the weakest link, but that's the change with Emma Frost. She's so beefy, she'll definitely make this team better. And now our clone died, that's fine. This is on auto, remember that this is on auto. Okay, Strife is almost dead. Now look at his health going back up, it's just insane. Now defense up once again. Unfortunately, Emma Frost will not be able to provide that. Not even offense down or anything. Strife with a second taunt, getting all that shield and energy to everyone. We have the second clone, the Juggernaut, and he's next to the Blob, so he's going to be very tanky, on top of Strife also being very tanky. And look at all those buffs, it's just insane. Okay, third clip, we have Wolverine, Psylocke, Black Widow, Captain America, and Deadpool. So we have a few mutants, and that of course helps the team a little bit more, maybe. Not the case, because all the clones have the same effects as mutants, so that's cool. Okay, so once again on auto, Strife with a useless taunt giving energy to no one. Then Mystique right away kills someone, and if we have Emma Frost doing this as well, it will be interesting, because it's like we have from the start 3 versus 6, which will be very interesting to watch. Unfortunately we can't, because it's on war defense. Okay, Strife almost dying there, but now Mr. Sinister with a heal. He's full of deflects, defense up, and regens. Shuri with a heal. Even if Shuri didn't heal, as soon as Strife would have a turn, he would heal 100% because of all those regens. Now he keeps stacking up the shield and the deflects. And at this point, like, there is no way this team is going to lose. It's just too much for the other ones to handle. And we have our Wolverine in the back. Okay, the last clip of this team, and then we are going to watch the Brotherhood without the Blob. We have Thor, we have the Scarlet Witch, Black Panther, Iron Man, and Captain America. 3 times speed and auto. Okay, let's go. So this is the perfect scenario. When Strife starts with his ultimate, he completely shut down the team right away. Now the Blob was getting a little bit low, but Strife with a taunt. Then Mr. Sinister now is going to heal up everyone and share the buffs with them. Mystique once again has the dodge, and that's why it's nice she's so far away. Strife taking that ultimate from Iron Man in the face and no problem dealing with it. It's just amazing. And yeah, like, we have Black Panther there hiding behind the Blob, and there is nothing this team can do. This is once again on endpoint 3 on Blitz. And yeah, like, look at Strife. Now we have the second clone. We have Thor and Black Panther. It's just crazy. Okay, so now we have the Brotherhood without the Blob, and this is against the Coulson shield. They have the medbay up, they have defense up from the start, and it's a minor punch down, and we still have the armory, so let's see. Now, this team only has T4s on Magneto, and it's very recommended that you have T4s on Sabretooth Ultimate, and also on Pyro Ultimate and Special. And make sure your Toad is at a decent level, otherwise you'll not be able to remove the buffs from the enemies, because Coulson have such a high resistance. But as you can see there, no problems. And now Pyro without the T4, spreading all those bleeds. Now we have Sabretooth also spreading tons of bleeds to everyone. And then Toad is going to extend all those bleeds even more. So if you have this with the T4, the bleeds will do way more damage than they do in this video. So Juggernaut, even at gear tier 10, is doing an amazing job. He's at level 60 or 65 or something. So this team is very underwhelming. It's like Magneto doing most of the power level. But as you can see, the team is completely shut down. All those bleeds, all those disrupts, and so on. And now Sabretooth with his special doing so much damage to everyone is just crazy. And yeah, so you don't really need the Blob on this team for it to be effective. Instead of the Brotherhood, we have the Bleederhood. And yeah, like it's just too much for Coulson to handle it. If you apply those T4s to Sabretooth and the Pyro and so on, you'll be able to punch up very, very easily with this team. And yeah, but it's also a lot about Toad, making sure that Toad has a nice focus to remove the buffs from everyone. So yeah, this is a 3 minutes match, and the Brotherhood are handling it. Sometimes people think that the Brotherhood has no chance of handling long matches. It's not the case. And that's another good thing about Sabretooth, is that he can soak a lot of damage because of his passive healing and high stats. Are you guys impressed by the Blob? Are you guys impressed by how good the Blob makes the evil mutants or the Marauders? I think it's very impressive. It's just night and day comparing this team with the Blob and without the Blob. Without the Blob, they cannot win on 8.3. With the Blob, they can win on 8.3 easily on auto. So it's just a huge difference. And like I show in my picture, they can counter Black Orders that are trying to punch up, and they'll probably only lose with huge meta teams like the X-Men, like Aimtron or something like that, or the Black Order punching down on them. So that's gonna be the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, smash that like button like the Blob. If you found this video helpful, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook, Discord, and so on. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. See ya.